Hi everyone, so Chris and Luke back now doing the FAQ 4.3.0 rundown, which went into effect. Oh, sorry, this is actually 4.3.1. We've lied because 4.3.0 went into effect on the 17th of March 2016, retroactively stripping everyone of their wins who cheated, but they've stealth edited the year to be correct. So, it's like, this is, I don't remember this FAQ coming out last year. Oh. So it is a it's a hefty document now. There are, well, I think it was like 16 pages worth of actual changes. If we scroll down the FAQ and errata, we're just going to stop at any of the pink writing. So if you're watching the video, you can watch along with us. If you're listening to a podcast, I will try to read out the things we're talking about first. So the first change is rules reference, simultaneous attack rule, page 17. And it should read, during the combat phase, all ships with pilot skill value equal to the active ship have the opportunity to attack before being destroyed. It basically removes the wording opportunity to attack and replaces it with activates. So it helps clarify weird instances like Dengar's revenge shots and stuff. So yeah, so I think the biggest thing with it is if Dengar is of equal pilot skill to a ship attacking him and does not have initiative, so the opponent has initiative, shoots your Dengar and kills him, you used to get your revenge shot, which was an opportunity to attack, and then he would be removed. So now, if you have a Dengar, you would get your revenge shot and then activate and get your normal shot. So that's what this change actually means. That's how it should have been. It's how I enforced it and ruled it in the events that it never came up, but it has come up at different events, and by the wording of opportunities to attack, there was arguments either way. So it's a nice clarification for it. We then have a little Emperor Palpatine change. Yeah, you got your hammer. You're gonna beat this one right down. This card should read Imperial only. Once per round, before a friendly ship rolls dice, you may name a die result. After rolling, you must change one of your die results to a named result. That die result cannot be modified again. I can basically explain the function of it if you like, or do you want to give your opinions first? Yeah, yeah. So obviously, old Palpatine was you roll and then pick a die if you want to change it. You're basically declaring its use on a die roll before you've rolled it, and technically, I suppose you could pick any result you like, but yeah, yeah. By the wording of the card, you can pick blank, but you the I would guess that because you have to change a face to that result, that the world may end if you pick a result that isn't on the face of a die you're rolling. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that we'll ignoring Luke because why wouldn't you? Um, so don't even get me started on grammar. We'll get to that when we hit Hotshot Copilot. So I'll let you open up with your thoughts on new pulp. A lot better. It's Imperial. People, I didn't. People, yeah, yeah. No, I know, and you'll be happy to know that I'm going to disagree with you. So I will concede the point that if Palpatine was previously a tier one card, he's not a tier one card now. Right? That's the preface of his argument. He is not as good as he used to be. I concede that point. So what other stuff was tier one? Like Zuckuss might be tier one. If everything that is good got hit, everything that is good is still good, but it's not. Yes, so that's that part of it done. I will freely argue that Palpatine isn't as good as he was, but 3PO, if you take him purely from a defensive standpoint, I'm going to have to try and remember Bob's math on this now, but 3PO can easily be worth upwards of 6 to 15 points, depending on the number of times you get to proc him. And I think something along those lines. And that's on a given ship that you can only attack once, and if you're not attacking that ship, 3PO does nothing. Palpatine can have effectively a similar effect on any ship that you're shooting at, and still doesn't have a range restriction. Yeah, like those. For me, those aren't really nerfs, because you want to get value out of whatever ship Palpatine's on anyway. Blah blah blah. But for this one, the reason I think that it's still good is because Commonwealth Defenders takes a massive hit from this, but every other traditional Palp aces, if you think back to Vader Fell, and the current meta we're sitting in, where it's like 2 to 3 ships that have pilot skill 9 is back to being high again. You're not having to bid to 11 to get a high pilot skill. You're now in an area of how many times is Fell or Vader actually going to be shot in a round. So it doesn't matter if you can't see. If you can, there is more outplay potential that you can't just land Fell in range 2 of everybody on your opponent's waist, which I would argue that you should never have been able to do that because it's not punishing bad flying. But Palp will still reward better players, and I think better players will still get 8. They'll get more than 8 points worth of value out of this card. So that would be my argument. Yeah. Yeah. No, and I've flown him and flown against him and would have been fine without changing him, but I was also fine with pre-nerf Whisper. So I'm I'm an advocate. Yeah. Um, Yep, so I've scrolled down to the next page, which contains the rest of the changes that we are going to be focusing on. So, Tie X7. Yeah, this one's only a small one. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it is only a small one. Is it like, is this going to be an Only Fools and Horses reference? to like your granddad's broom. I've only yeah. The second sentence should read after executing a 3, 4, or 5 speed maneuver, if you did not overlap an obstacle or ship, you may perform a free evade action. So, okay. I'll cover the functional changes again. So obviously, bumping turns off your evade, and you don't gain a token. It's an action, so stress turns it off as well. So there you go. 2 ways to outplay X7 now: stress and blocking. And also, if you're shit, you won't get as much value out of X7. So yeah, if this is how it came out, this would still be better than Tie D, which is unfortunate. But I think there's argument. Tie D is dependent on what 3-point cannons there are, ultimately. But X7 is still the better of the 2 titles at the moment, and it's shit. Don't take it. Literally, um, it needs a point reduction as well. The platform isn't good enough at the current point value. Even that's why I say Tie D is reliant on the cannons, because the ones you can take either do 0 damage or no damage or 1 damage. You and that extra 1 point of damage doesn't give me the value I need from the current points value of the platform. If you could take a Mangler, Tie D would be amazing. Yeah, yeah. If you could take a HLC, I would go back to running my 2 HLC defenders, and I used to win games with them in Wave 4. I think I would decimate people in Wave 10 if Tie D let you have HLC shots in addition, but it doesn't. So there you go. That's if a cannon comes out that costs 3 points, and even if it's uh, yeah, there might be an argument there, but it's very much cannon dependent for how good Tie D is. X7 only works because it reduces the cost of a platform, because the defender platform's overcosted. It's as we get to Manaru, you'll see me argue this from the other side of why Manaru's still good. But so we could jump through Zuckus and straight to Manaru now, unless you've got more you want to add on X7. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I think that having outplay potential is a big part of the 4 changes we're going to talk about. Palpatine isn't use it when you need it. There's a point of risk, so you can make the wrong choice with Palpatine now. X7 can be outplayed. We'll go through Zuckuss anyway and talk about this. So, Zuckuss, this card should read Scum only. When attacking, if you are not stressed, you may receive any number of stress tokens to choose an equal number of defense die. The defender must re-roll those die. So, uh, yeah, because yeah, yeah. I think that would be my point. That uh, it's hard for me because on the one hand, Dangaroo is already dead with the Manaroo changes and the existence of Waxrazi. I think kill off Dangaroo without any changes to Zuckus. I haven't seen Dangaroo winning an event for a while now. Admittedly, I don't scour list juggler every weekend to see what's just won, but the talk of Dangaroo hasn't been around for a while. It's all been Paraturner. Yeah. So, but that's irrelevant to my feelings on it. Um, I now think that this, because Dangaroo's already dead, the other one's a party bus, and I don't feel like good players were losing to a party bus. This feels like the Deadeye change um, for just nerfing contracted scouts because bad people lose to it, and like I don't. So that's my. I think this one is the hardest nerf. Like Palpatine didn't bother me as much as Zuckus because like the only way it's any good is on a party bus, and then it's not good. It makes it passably playable. And as you say, my boss build with the homing missile, it doesn't affect me in the slightest. I will wait and see when you roll your dice, and if you get triple evade, I will Zuckus all three of them because it doesn't bother me, whatever. So it kind of feels like a change for the sake of changing it. But then, rationally, I think it's a 1 point crew card. What do all the other 1 point crew cards do? And go, yeah, okay, yeah, okay. So yeah, from where he was, is nowhere near as good. This is a massive hit with a Nerf bat, but realistically, you were right. This is probably where he should have been. So yeah, it's fine. Everything's fine here. How are you? Yeah. Yeah. So this card should read: at the start of the combat phase, you may assign all focus, evade, and target lock tokens assigned to you to another friendly ship at range 1. So, yeah, range 1 instead of wherever the hell you like. No, no. A claw hammer. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, I would say that for 28 points, you still get the best focus engine for a Mindlink list in the game. I would argue that so the counter to why did we go range 1? Range 2 would have been fine, and you've got to remember that it isn't within range 2; it's at range 2, so it's practically range 3. You can't reduce it to range 3 because that's practically no range restriction at all. So If you don't reduce it to range 1, she is still immune to target locks. There is no way as your opponent to outplay that Manaru can pass red target lock tokens to a different ship. So I think that is the target lock one is the biggest reason why I would advocate for it being range 1, because it makes it easier to still fight. Like if you're running your list, for example, if you've put your choke locks on Manaru, I passed them off, whatever. Then you can't fire your torpedoes because she passes them off to someone miles away who you can't shoot at. Yeah, yeah. So that would be my argument. Like, if she's passing to a ship at range 1, and you did it in such a way that you can't still fire your ordnance, it is still possible. I think it's a lot less likely. Like, you have been outplayed if that happens, not just outruled on the card. And she is still 27 points. Yeah. What you want to do is get Manaru with K4 and then start taking assault proton torpedoes. Everything's range 1, so you want to be up close anyway. Yeah. Nope, they do not. Yeah, I mean, these nerfs to Horton are pretty high. So, okay, so for people who are watching this video in isolation, go and watch part 4. I'll link it after the video. Okay, so before that's what, yeah, I'll summarize my thoughts on the big 4 changes. Well, that we've got to. There is another massive change, but I don't want to jump ahead too much. It cuts the top end off the current meta, which means that everything that was good is better by comparison, if that makes any sense. But I think the big problem you're going to have, we've lost Luke a little bit, I'm sure he'll come back soon. Are you still here talking, aren't you? Yeah. Yeah, you're back. What was I saying? Yeah, so the big one for me is that they nerfed Jump Masters with the Deadeye change, and it was Jump Masters that were keeping TLTs in check. So my worry would be, not personally, because I don't care, I can beat TLTs, I'm not shit, but a lot of people complain about TLTs, and what is there now to hold them back? If people are going to decry the fact that the Defender's dead because you can outfly it, are people going to decry the fact that Palpatine Aces is gone? What, you know what I mean? There's nothing. So all of these kind of changes do, and this isn't anything wrong with this FAQ or FFG in general. This is just the way it is when you take this approach to games design, which you have to do because of the way the release schedules work, is all that nerfing something does is make something else broken. And that's why I giggle to myself when people talk about the meta's stale and all this kind of stuff. It will always be this way. All this does... yeah. Yeah, and people will always gravitate towards the 0.01% mathematically better list because it's 0.01% better. So I'm happy. Yeah, I'm happy with the changes. I think that most of them may not necessarily be needed, but they do rebalance everything that is currently popular. Um, yeah. Yeah. So the next change we come to is immediately. So immediately is used as emphasis on some cards. It is purely reminder text and has no distinct game effect. Awesome. Thanks. Uh, no, it does. Yeah, so the vestry thing is interesting because it was immediately after rolling dice. So do I have to have a target locked ready to put on vestry? If I miss the immediately, do I not get to put it on? And that's what it's saying. Is that because it said immediately, you don't literally, as soon as the dice are rolling, you don't have to have applied that target lock. You can take as much time as you like, as long as you don't move on to the next step. Yeah. Blah blah blah. Resolving simultaneous effects. This is a relatively long one that goes into the fact that if stuff happens at the same time, um, the player controlling the effect which happens first, because the player with the initiative gets the first effect. Blah blah blah. The person controlling chooses the order in which ship. So, like Mara Jade applying stress, you get to put the stress from Mara Jade on first for everyone, and it talks about Fel receiving stress. It would get a focus token before you hit, yeah, stuff like that. That bit is actually a separate section, I believe, but we'll get to that. Slam timing just got clarified that the effects trigger if an effect triggers after performing an action or after executing a maneuver. You can do either one of them can trigger off a slam because it is a maneuver and an action. Um, um, no, well, yes, because so or not. I hate that. So it does not change anything to do with dropping bombs because bombs are dropped on a revealing of a dial or as an action. So currently there is no, that's still on the slam card as rules. Slamming can never be done as a free action, and push the limits lets you after performing an action perform a free action. Yeah, rules. Touching and barrel rolling. The state of touching occurs after a ship performs a maneuver where its base overlaps another ship and that ship moves backwards along its movement template. If a ship performs a barrel roll, it cannot end the activation overlapping another ship and therefore it cannot be touching. So the physical models can touch. That's not what it's saying. It's just they are not considered touching for the purpose of the defined rule of touching. Yeah, I thought it was going down a dark path. Grab them by the barrel rolls. Yeah, so that's erratas. Then we have card clarifications, which is section 3. We have condition cards. I'll show you the dark side. Shaking fist. Uh, if a ship with this card assigned to it must suffer critical damage during attack, it must suffer the damage card assigned to. I'll show you the dark side instead, even if it has shield tokens. Blah blah blah. Vader doesn't work. Lots of clarifications on. So Marek would work if you roll 2 crits. If 2 crits would be assigned, the first one has to be I'll show you a dark side. Then the second crit would still, as long as you don't have shields, blah blah blah. If you're applying a second crit to Hull, his ability still triggers. You don't get to draw 4 cards and pick between them all, that weird thing that people tried to argue. The Bosk Nerf of and R4D6 can be used. So, yeah, whatever. Um, yeah. No, boss may cancel a crit result and add 2 hit results before draw the fire, Zizor, and 4d6 can be used. So boss has to use it. Yeah. So you're inferring too much. So the may cancel is that he may use his ability. If he uses his ability, it happens before these things. So Draw the Fire can't pull a crit off before boss does it. Zizor can't pull a crit off before boss does it. But equally, yes, but yeah, exactly. So don't use boss ability if they have a 4d6 because you'll only get 2 hits. Well, I suppose unless you've rolled like a trillion crits, then just do it for shits and giggles. It happens in the compare results step, which is the same step, which is cancel all hit results to only suffer 2 hits, I believe. It's a drive that goes on big, so I'm gonna have to find it now, you shitbag. Right, so you fuck you, buddy. Fuck you. If I look it up, it's gonna screw my screen up. Okay, give me a second. I'm just gonna have to open it up now, so everyone gets to see the other stuff I was looking at. Yeah, except you. There you go. Back to FAQ. I'm gonna have to find. In fact, I could just Google the card, couldn't I? R4D6. I'm gonna have to read the wording on this crappy card now. Blah blah blah. Stuff and jam. What? Where are you in this? I don't want no Wikipedia entry. God damn it. Yeah, this is your fault. When you are hit by an attack and there are at least 3 uncancelled hit results, you may choose to cancel those results until there are only 2 remaining. For each result cancelled in this way, receive 1 stress. So in what way are you arguing that this... So I'm right, you're wrong. After Bosk is translated the crit, because Bosk also happens is if there is an uncancelled crit. Yeah. Yes. It's fine. We just need you to listen to Chris. Yeah. Boom. Mike. Using Countdown's ability will make the attack miss as there are no uncancelled hit or crit results. So you keep your self device. Yeah. If Han Solo is placed overlapping an obstacle during setup, he suffers the effect of overlapping an obstacle. If he suffers damage from this, he removes a shield. This is obviously Force Awakens Han Solo because yeah, it's okay. It's not even in the shop. Yep. You're gonna talk about putting the evade on. Do you remove the evade instead of a shield? Is that where you're gonna go? That's where you should have gone, because that would have been a more interesting question. But carry on. Yeah. Yeah. You get to fire. Yeah. Fun times. Yeah, the better one, right? So if you use hyperwave comm scanner on Dormits and deploy them, they would get to assign an evade token. So you'd lose a shield or take a damage, but you'd keep the evade token because you're on a rock, not taking damage, which is weirdly interesting. Um, so you're really worried about the Force Awakens Han Solo meta that's going to emerge from this FAQ, and you've got this hidden cheese that you've just shared with the internet. You can't. It's only got 10 fingers and thumbs. It's not from Marum. No. Yeah, it's even worse. I think it's more of they're trying to not have a precedent for a time where the obstacles aren't actually obstacles, apart from Dash. But as in, if it's an obstacle and you're on it, it should be an obstacle and you're on it. Because of all of the other instances, like with the talk of tractor beams being put across it and all of that, they either are or they aren't. So I don't think it's targeted at Han. Um, in the films, I've won games by landing Han on a rock. Ask Chad. In fact, I beat Chad at Nova Open. I think it was by landing Han on a rock, sacrificing my shots for that round, and then completely getting behind him. Yeah. So that's because I'm a wily old smuggler. Yeah. Wile E. Coyote. Um, no. Then we have the Inquisitor. Um, the only range of attack is treated at range 1. Any abilities that reference a range of ships, such as Kurnar Jax, Concordon Protector. Pardon me. Kurnar Jax, Concordon Protector are not affected by the Inquisitor's ability.
Yeah.
Auto thrusters does not trigger against the Inquisitor's primary weapon attack. There we go. I think because they've, I don't know, you probably did assume it because everyone said, pardon me, this stupid great value cola. I can't afford real Coke. I don't get enough YouTube views yet. Uh, youngster, oh, definitely. I mean, I don't care about your 7 people who watch your channel. I need thousands. um, Youngster can use his ability in conjunction with TIE fighters, TIE FOs, and TIE SF fighters. Special Forces TIEs. So, like when you put Rage on Youngster, you can have something else on Quick Draw now. Yeah, so you don't even need Rage on Quick Draw to do Rage in Quick Draw. Yeah, and so adaptive. Yeah, did he have marksmanship? Exposing Raging Quick Draw. Yeah, with experimental interface. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Game broken. Um, if a ship equipped with adaptive ailerons overlaps an obstacle as part of this additional maneuver, it suffers the effect of overlapping it as described in the obstacles section on page 14 of the rules reference. See page 2 of the FAQ for errata of this section. Yeah, thanks for referencing 2 different pages of 2 different documents in your one rule for a thing we didn't really need because people are stupid. For example, if a ship using ailerons overlaps an asteroid, it would roll for damage but not skip its perform damage step. If a ship equipped with adaptive ailerons overlaps, yeah, because basically the wording is, I don't know, perform action step. Stupid game anyway. Yeah, basically people are arguing that if the adaptive ailerons maneuver overlaps an obstacle, you'd skip your perform action step because that's a rule on the obstacle part of a maneuver overlapping it. But in a roundabout way, shut up, it didn't happen. Yeah, I love just abusing all the people who do watch my videos. It's a wonder why I can't afford real cola. Emperor Palpatine has got a clarification. Um, no, a player may change a die result it is already showing. For example, if you say crits, you can change a crit to a crit because you must change it as part of his new card text. Yes. Um, Apparently, the word when needed to be changed in heavy laser cannon. I'm going to have to check the last FAQ to see what word they had in there. I'm assuming it wasn't fuck or something like that, but it's probably just. Yeah, I really want to know now. Hotshot co-pilot. When attacking a ship with Hotshot co-pilot equipped, the defender must spend the focus token after the declare target step and before the end of the modified dice step. I'll say it again so it's a little bit clearer. So then we can talk about how bad this is grammatically. When attacking a ship with Hotshot co-pilot equipped, the defender must spend the focus token after the declared target step and before the end of a modified defense dice step. So I have got a Binary Pirate Z95 Headhunter. You have got Han Solo with Hotshot co-pilot equipped. I am now going to attack a ship with Hotshot co-pilot equipped. Eh? Yeah. I'm attacking a ship that has Hotshot co-pilot equipped. You paid £4 to have to spend your focus token. Yeah. Yeah, it does. But grammar. This is. Yeah, yeah, but it's just really, really bad English. Um, yeah, yeah. So you're defending, and you have hotshot co-pilot equipped. That's what it says, isn't it? It- the FAQ for me is less clear than the card. The card, yeah, the first two paragraphs of this errata are the ones we're actually ripping apart, but the clarifications of if you spend a focus token at any points during these two steps, it counts. Hotshot co-pilot has been fulfilled. Is what the FAQ is trying to say, just really badly. Remember, this is a clarification, not an errata, so the card text hasn't changed at all. The last one is weird purely because of a mention of accuracy corrector, because it's effectively saying that although there is a chance for you to, if you've got accuracy corrector equipped, you can accuracy corrector as your first modification, which then prevents you from spending the focus token because you can't modify dice anymore, which I think is incorrect because you have the opportunity to, yeah. So I think that, but I'm wrong. You cannot play it the way I'm saying unless they're stupid. No, no, I just think that they're really, really bad. Uh, I don't know because I would guess this is going to sound really horrible now, but I would guess that this one was answered by a different member of the team to who has been doing the FAQs, and it's probably whoever designed the card did this one because it's worded differently to other entries that seem clearer, but yeah, it's just bad. I'm sure this one will be pink again in the next FAQ and will actually be clearer. Kanan just clarifies how he works with Millennium Falcon, and it is now written down in pink and soon to be black that you cannot do Kanan to get rid of inertial dampness in Daredevil. So that's good. M9G8 being the same as Palpatine, so working against Omega Leader in the same way Palpatine does, and allowing you to modify Snapshot. It because it isn't the shit. Yeah, it was how we were. Yeah, it was how we were ruling the card in Calgary anyway. But there were lots of yeah. It just seems to be how it would work, but people were arguing that it wasn't. Rage. When a ship receives two stress tokens at the same time, it counts as receiving one stress after receiving one stress. So this is the bit you were talking about with Fell. Yeah. Um, it also means that Yaw can pull a stress and then pull a stress. Yeah. R3A2's ability triggers at the end of declare target step. Yeah. Yep. Whatever. So this is the one that boggles the mind. I'm so like the hard nerf to the top end of the meta. So, Saboteur. If a damaged engine or if you somehow manage to stress the ship with the Saboteur before it moves, you don't get to pick the move anymore because that was specifically referenced on the card. It now says that the stress ship executes a white 2. Nerfed Saboteur. Sad times. Yeah. Any chance for that card to be good is gone. Um, then we've got some of the actions and game effects. When an ability assigns a blue target lock token to another ship that already has a blue target lock token, does the receiving ship have to remove a previous target lock token? Yes. Unless the receiving ship has the ability to maintain more than one. What did I miss? Oh, adding mobile. Yeah. Backstabber and outmaneuver. Yeah. Yeah. Anything that is called an arc counts as an arc, apart from an arc 170, which counts as a useless ship you shouldn't field. Yeah, I don't think that's in the FAQ. Um, so you don't get the choice of which target lock to keep when manner passage with target lock. Basically, the newest one overrides the oldest one, which I was sure was in there already. No, not anymore. So. Yeah, unless you printed out the last copy, in which case you got to choose until last year. And that's it. That is the entire FAQ, the hour we've managed to talk about it for, which is about average. So, shall we summarize, give our thoughts on the new meta? We have a brief state of the game chat, or I think I will call out TLTs as having gotten strong again. They will be the new thing to complain about on the FFG forums. And complain about TLTs. No, I think Rebel Regen has the opportunity to come out a little bit more because the big attacks that were punching through were on ships that kind of used Zuckus or like Fen with Mindlinky stuff. But I don't know what really was holding Rebel Regen back other than there being a lot of ways to slip damage under those shields now. So maybe that will be fine. I could see what would we call it? The generic rebels having a place again. Yeah, 4BZ. What was it? Something did well at an event over the weekend. Was it 2B, 2B, 2Z, and an X or something? I think. Yeah. But yeah, that kind of rebel generic list could make a comeback. It'll get beaten down again as it requires a decent amount of skill to fly well. So TLTs will just keep beating it, and people complain that rebels need more of a buff and X-wings are terrible, blah blah blah. But I think it hurts the Scum faction the most. The right the problem for me with Scum is that they don't have the synergy of Rebels or the just good ships of Imperials. They need these cheesy abilities to make them work. But every time they get something cheesy, people complain that it's cheesy and then it gets nerfed. So yeah, and it's part of the design space for them, but every time they, in my opinion, do it correctly, people complain about it, and then they go, "Oh yeah, okay." So it comes back to again, like we're saying, I don't think Zuckus was that bad. Manaru, maybe. I don't really mind the change. I think obviously the Jumpmaster could be excluded from that discussion because I do think it's too cheap and the Dow's too good. But that's a separate issue. But Yeah. Yeah, I've no. I would say that there has not been an errata to change point costs of a card in 10 waves of X-Wing. That would be my non-answered response to that. They might nerf. They might. I would not be opposed to them doing so, um, but I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I'm practicing so I can be Trump's new press secretary. So yeah. Yeah, make sure we don't accidentally wink to any like blackface and racist British humour. Yeah, because BBC, awesome people. Yeah, slight tangents. Too deep for the show we're trying to do. So I was thinking about this last night actually. Um, that if we are now in a universe where FFG just erratas cards that they deem are too powerful. It was a very rare thing that had only happened once, then it happened again, then they did 4 cards, which I don't have a problem with. It's again, there's multiple ways of trying to fix your game and do what you want with it, and this is a perfectly valid approach, but it does open up doors that you might want to keep shut. And the changing the points cost is a very different thing to changing the wording of a card, because then it just breaks more stuff. It has knock-on effects to multiple squad, and any change will do that. And I don't know of another way to change TLTs and keep them in the unique place in the design spectrum. Um, I don't know. I thought about making it a built-in gunner, so you only get the second one if the first one misses. But then it would be shit for 6 points. It's still a good card, but you are now giving someone a K wing that comes with 2 unique cards, because that's the only way to get a TLT is by a K wing. It comes with 2 of them. So TLT was designed to be a fix, in my opinion, because every fix card, near enough, I'm saying it and then probably regretting as someone on the internet points out how wrong I am, but they come in packs of 2 and Auto Thrusters 2 in a Star Viper, TLTs 2 in a K Wing. They're supposed to be useful cards. Um, I don't know. Yeah, but what was that designed to fix? Torpedoes, other cards. Um, I don't know. I don't like it being unique because I want to have 2 in my Hawks. Leave my lists alone. Yeah, I'm happy for nerfs as long as it doesn't touch my stuff. I think, as I said on the last podcast of Nova, dear FFG, please nerf scissors. Rock is fine. Signed paper. Um, but yeah, I'm happy to see what comes out of this because it is a drastic shake-up of the meta. Everything that was at the top isn't at the top on it. It isn't alone at the top anymore. As I said, I don't believe anything has been nerfed into oblivion. I can still see reasoned and not having to make too many assumptions in my argument to state why things are still useful and good. But it will be interesting to see how the meta reacts, because the sky will definitely be falling for like 2 weeks. So overclocked is if you spend a focus token, you can, yeah, yeah, but that only works for one round, because at some point you have to remove a focus token, and then you've got a trillion stress, so you can't do an action. Okay. So are you now saying that Dengar with overclocked mind link Manaru is the way to go, because then you just ignore the well, as in, I'm bringing back Dangaroo. You, you've got to put mind link and so remember, mind link goes backwards as well. So if you're willing to stress, self-inflict stress, yes, I accept that. But no, I've there will be ways of making it work, but it's not on the same level as Zuckus, because what's that focus token going to do for you? There's only a finite number of things that having an extra focus token can do. If you're fine, if you're playing against multiple hotshot co-pilots, and if you're running hotshot co-pilot and are getting shot by multiple ships that aren't, and you just have to spend your token all of the time because the FAQ is wrong. Yeah. Yeah, well, that's why I took the focus action. I didn't take it not to spend it. Okay, I think we'll call it there. We've been going for an hour, and I believe you have housework to do. So yeah, yeah, it's understandable. Thanks for watching, everybody, and thanks for listening on the podcast. A shout out to all of the extra support I have garnered on Patreon. As I don't give anything to Luke, I just give him my scorn and indignation. But yeah, yeah, it's good. I allow you to share screen space with me. Is that not enough? No. No. Yeah, I can make my. I'm just making myself bigger now. Oh yeah, yeah. All of the screen space for me. That was regrettable. No. They get the gist. It's okay. But yeah, thanks for all of the support, and people had actually been asking for us to do an FAQ rundown, so somebody must listen. So yeah. Yep, thanks everybody, and good night.